Right, here we are at Brighton with my good friend here, Steve from Criminal Damage. So give us an answer straight away about the band history. When did you first form as the band? When did that?
Criminal Damage was formed in a little town just down the street from here called Eastbourne. Keith and Tess put it together in a kids' home. The kids' home lent them money to get equipment. And the only song they released back in 1982 was Criminal Crew, which was on the No Future Company Fit for Heroes 2. And it was a local Christian organisation that had recording studios, I don't know, for gospel singers and shit, but in order to try and save the kids from punk rock, they gave us a studio time, and they put together a 3-track demo from there, and that's where it started. Some bad habits and prison and a severed hand put the band on hold for 40 fucking years, but we put it back together and we're good to go.
Right. So what's the idea about reforming it then? So here we are 40 years later, and why are we going to put an oi band back together again?
It's our last chance, throw the dice. I mean, you go to things like Rebellion or Reunion, every year there's someone that's fucked up, dead or dying, and we figured, you know, it's the last chance to have a bit of fun. And to be honest, I mean, the band, it never really, I mean, it's just one song. So many people have asked after it and where they are and what we did next, and they did fuck all, basically. So it's just it's a new beginning, or fit an epitaph, really.
So originally you was all punks, really, weren't you? More than skinheads and such.
Yeah, I mean, from the other lads were largely punks. I think we all had the same sort of musical path. Like 77 was a bit too young if you bought tartan bondage trousers or put soap in your hair, get a slap off your dad, and at that age you took it, didn't you, really?
Yeah.
But then 79 came along, and the Specials and the two-tone, and to me that seemed like exactly the same fucking thing, and that was a bit easier. Your parents, you know, were quite happy to buy a Fred Perry or pair of white socks. It seemed pretty harmless, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then as you got a bit older, you know, grew into your own fucking skin. The punk stuff, the early 80s punk stuff was the bollocks as far as I'm concerned. And the Oi albums that came along, I remember picking up Carry On Oi and looking at bands like Red Alert, which was sort of half skinhead, half punk, and that was me and my mates. That was sort of our generation. We kind of thought we was the only ones, but all of a sudden you looked at that and well, fuck me, there's other people like us. And I don't know, it was always when you was a kid, your fucking mum and social workers and shit were going, oh, you'll grow out of it. It's like, you know, fuck, I'm nearly 60 and I still love it.
Speak a little slow. Yeah, I had the same sort of experience. I remember going into town where I grew up, in town High Wycombe, which was just west of London, and we had an independent record shop called Harlequins, and we used to go down there. It was all the latest punk you get in there. You had like the mainstream shops, and then you had these little, every town in the country had these little independent shops. You sold second-hand stuff, but also the latest punk. So we go
easy to steal from.
Yeah, easy to thief from. Exactly. But I remember going in there and picking out an album and looking in the back, and it was the first time I'd ever seen skinheads, actual skinheads, on a record label, on a record cover, and it was the first Oi album, Oi the album, and I'll never forget reading on there. I saw this picture of skinheads and it said Foreskins. I said, fucking hell, there's a band here called the Foreskins, and all my mates laughed because they were outside the door, like literally just standing there.
The sign in the name,
and I was looking at that as the way it was written with the number 4 skins, as in 4 skinheads. They looked at it as 4 skins as a dick, you know. So they all laughing. I think, what are they laughing at? But that was the first time I ever remember seeing actual skinheads in a band on an album, because up till then, you know, we had bands like Sham 69 and Menace and 999.
Really were they?
Yeah, and they were like skinhead audience, but they weren't skinheads as such, were they? You know, it was always skinheads were the audience. Even going back to the Simmering, you know, they were Jamaicans and the crowd was skinheads, you know, so they weren't skinheads themselves, and that was always the situation. But yeah, that was my first sort of real experience, and I agree with you, that mix, because in my town was exactly the same. You know, you had rockabillys, punks, skinheads, even mods, all sort of hung around together, didn't they, in the same sort of circles?
Well, Peter got their own opinions, but to me it was all the fucking same thing. Where I live, we view like skinheads and punks as the same, but just a bit different. We'd all gone through the same journey, we all had the same records.
Exactly.
77, 79. And then the early 80s, we all listened to the same shit.
We all went to the same school, didn't we?
Yeah, to the same fucking neighbourhood. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was none of that division shit then.
No, exactly. I remember the first Madness album. Well, I think it was Madness album. First Madness album. The day it came out, there was a little an indoor market thing. Again, it's the same type of thing, independent records and shit. I remember going down there, and all the punks used to hang about in there. The Extroverts were our local band. They were all in there. And I went to buy this album, and they looked at me, and I'll never forget Nigel Martin going, "Oh, that's that new nutty sound, isn't it?" And I was a bit embarrassed because they were like the heroes. They were like 3-4 years older than me, and they were proper 76, 77 punks, you know. And but by Christmas, punk was good night Vienna. Like Skinheads took over majorly. Two Tone just exploded, didn't it?
But then in 18 months, it was gone, wasn't it? It was fucking over.
Well, yeah. I mean, you put that down to the Southall riots when they bought. You know, Skinheads got such a bad name after Southend and Brighton bank holidays, and then you had the riots in '81. All the Brixton and then places went up, and then when Southall happened, they blamed that on the Skinheads. Then Maggie Thatcher actually said, "No, that's the end of that. We're having that off." So all the labels dropped the Skinhead bands. Yeah. So Two Tone was affected by it. All the oi bands that were out at that time. Cockney Rejects were having pop hits then. They were on top of the pops, which is unbelievable for a Skinhead.
I can remember West Ham came down to Brighton here, and they used to pen them in between. Yeah. Those days it was fences for one of the pitch. Yeah. They used to pen them in the corner between the north stand and the east stand. I remember looking over, and about 70% of them was bald. And I was like, that's fucking scary. They came back next year, and they looked like fucking Andy Pandy, and fucking perms and flicks and shit. And it was over. It just gone.
I'll never forget that when they started growing their hair and becoming casuals. I remember going down the Last Resort shop. And we used to go down there like Sundays mostly. But I remember going down there one day and I literally walked down the street and there was a rack outside with all these fucking trousers. Do you remember them like
fucking Farrah's golfing trousers?
That's it. Yeah. They had a rack of these fucking Farrah trousers outside the shop. And we looked at it like, what the and just turned around and went. And that was the last time I went to the Last Resort. I can never understand
the jumpers.
The check.
Never fucking got that
shit.
Yeah,
the diamonds. I'll never forget my mate. I'll never forget. We come back where I live, because where I live was all West London. So it was Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, all them sort of teams. So they all go up to London for a jolly up around the town, and then they come back and they'd all be pumped up. But these were fodder, or it's called fodder. So there'd be a whole bunch of football hooligans, and amongst them, you know, the top ones would be the guys at the front, guys at the back, but these were generally fodder. So anyway, we were walking down the street, and I was with this bird, and I'm walking in front, and all my mates are behind, you know, about 100 metres behind or whatever. And I walked by this bunch of casuals, and I saw them look at my mates behind me, and went, a bunch of fucking glue sniffers. So I walked back to my mates, I was thinking, what? So anyway, we fucked it, done them big time. And I'll never forget my mate Gavin, he had them, remember the steel toe cap Ranger Commando, which was called. They were screw-on soles. We got this casual, and I'll never forget he had these diamond socks on. And Gavin just stamped on his ankles just because of the socks and done his ankles for it. Yeah, but it was fierce, the rivalry between skins and casuals who only 6 months before had beaten skinheads, but they thought they were the hard men because they were like this mob or that mob. I won't say the names of the teams, not get in trouble, but you know those clothes and that hair, never for me. Because I think the difference was with casuals is they were into football solidly, and there wasn't music with it, was there? They were listening to things.
Nothing with it.
They were listening to things like Happy.
That's all there was, wasn't it?
What were they listening to? Nothing, shit. Was it? Just like nightclub shit, wasn't it? They wanted them wedge haircuts and shit.
I think some of them were going into the soul and stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that band up north that used to wear the Stone Island jackets and shit. What are they called?
But there was no Stone Island in the 80s.
Well, that type of stuff, though. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, that's going. So tell us about Brighton a bit. You know, what's it like growing up down here? Obviously, this is where Quadrophenia's set.
Well, where we're sat now, just a couple of 100 yards to our left was where the inside cover was set. Was it the back cover? Set in suns. They couldn't get a bulldog, so a boxer dog and a Union Jack neck chair. I was just down the beach there. I mean, they've changed the end of the pier since those days, but I mean, Brighton was alright. It was sort of seedy, dirty, sleepy sort of seaside town. It was like Hastings and Blackpool. It's kind of the end of the line for a lot of people. But there's a lot of mavericks and eccentrics and creative people here. And I mean, in those days, it was Sodom and Gomorrah to the rest of the country. I mean, these days it's, I don't know, what is it? It's fucking big, gay, pretentious, overpriced, arty-farty and woke, but
yeah, exactly.
in those days, that was fucking, you know, like completely non-conformist culture. These days it's become sort of mainstream, but punk-wise, I mean, there was a flash in the pan in the early 80s, and then it died off pretty quickly after that. You know, the idea of studs and leather or hundreds of skinheads and that just didn't really happen down here. It came and went. I mean, there's still bands playing, it's still a healthy scene here, but yeah, I wouldn't. It's not punk rock like Birmingham or Leeds was back in the day. Or,
yeah, I mean, I used to come down here quite a lot at that time, you know, up until in the 90s, and there was still quite a punk scene down here, even in the 90s. I mean, you know, it wasn't massive like the 80s, obviously, because rave was big here, wasn't it? All the squat parties and everything. Rave was massive, yeah.
Rave in Brighton was so big, it practically killed live music. There was very few gigs to go to down here. You used to have to go to London, really. It was all fucking...
It was all squat parties with raves, wasn't it, around here? I remember that.
Bunch of cunts dancing to shit music.
I was one of them, yeah. But, so tell us about, like, what's your favourite, your favourite oi track? What would you say was, like, maybe an influence, or what was the sort of thing that, if I said to you, what's oi to you, what would you come up with?
It's 40 years of it, isn't there? I mean, some of the foreskin stuff was, you know, it's untouchable, and it, Last Resort, I mean, they're still going now, aren't they? And lyrically and musically, I think they're top of the pile, aren't they? I mean, Rejects came out as some classics, but not, you know, with all due respect, some of their stuff is so good you're never going to match it, are you really?
What with
you know, Doug and the Slugs, Violent Way, Chisel, they're all fucking great bands. Yellow Stitches, another good band, like them a lot. It just hasn't stopped, does it? I mean, it seems to be, I mean, since I picked up on iTunes and shit, that you can just download fucking 10 different oi albums a week, really. There's so much good stuff out there. I mean, some of it's a bit cliche, innit? But yeah, it hasn't dropped off or died at all. There's plenty of it.
I mean, it's mental to think, isn't it? I mean, like when you had bands like Combat 84, and you had, you weren't actually officially an oi band because they weren't allowed on the album. But I mean, oi to me was those albums, really, wasn't it? And when it first come along, you know, there was things like Toy Dolls on there, The Exploited, Test Tubes, Blitz, you know, the Foreskins, and Rejects. So totally different in lots of ways, weren't they, these bands?
I mean, Bush would just chance his fucking arm, didn't he? Took anyone who was willing to go on it, basically. But I mean, Carry On Oi for me epitomised it, you know, the Partisans on their Blitz, on their Red Alert. It was that complete hybrid of punk and skinhead, wasn't it, really? I mean, The Last Resort to me were the only band that had a unique sound. I mean, the Rejects, Upstarts, yeah, sure, it was what we know as Oi, but when they wrote it, it was just straight up punk band with a slightly different slant of life, weren't they? But yeah, Last Resort.
Well, Jimmy Percy produced a lot of those early oi bands, like Rejects and stuff like that.
So Slippers, didn't he?
And you got to think there was like labels, proper labels after those bands, because it was selling a lot of stuff. Whereas I think, I'm not sure about their Last Resort, where they were basically backed by the shop, weren't they? So they were pretty much independent, I think, right from the start.
From what I understand, it was a demo tape, wasn't it? They put a demo tape in the shop, and he thought, I'll have a few quid out of this.
Yeah.
So I'm told, and stuck it on a record.
Yeah, but it was called The Last Resort, named after the shop. And it was sold by the shop, wasn't it?
Well, there was a criminal damage shop. I don't think they'd be after our records. They might try and sue us for the name.
Yeah. But I remember when The Last Resort came out, it was really raw, and it was like, I wasn't too keen on it because I liked the stuff like Foreskins that was really like to the point, and it was quite mature in their lyrical content. You know, like when you look at Wonderful World, it was about the Symond Lawes, and that to me was just absolute bang on. You know, Cockney Rejects, I loved the Rejects, but again, it was quite produced next to some of the other stuff, but it was very much all about fighting and football hooliganism and being a West Ham fan and all that. So I think that isolated them to just a little niche, really, in lots of ways.
Kind of bit them in the arse a bit, didn't it, really?
Yeah.
I mean, The Last Resort, that first record, I think most of their audience, if you put them in a room with some instruments and pen and paper, would have tried to write that record, basically.
Yeah.
I think it was reflective, just social commentary, reflective at the time.
Really. And it was skinhead related, it was skinhead focused, weren't it? Rather than the others that were more political or more artistic and creative or whatever, you know, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. So what else should we? Sorry, got interrupted a little bit. So what about the gigs for this year, the Skinhead Reunion? What's the situation with that?
Well, we've got a few lined up this year. We're playing Punk on the Peninsula. Do you want to? you know. Trying to do a fucking interview. We got a few lined up for this year. We're playing Pump the Peninsula, then we're coming back down here to Brighton playing Skinhead Reunion. And we got Rebellion, might be a small European tour after Rebellion. We're looking at Canada and America and Europe again the following year.
Well, let's see how the Skinhead Reunion goes, because obviously you've got to come out with what, half an hour of music? How long have you got now?
About half an hour, 40 minutes set, yeah. I mean, to be honest, the songs will be released and available, but fucking bands that play for an hour bore the arse off me, to be honest. I ain't got that attention span anymore. No. 20 minutes, half an hour, get in and get it off.
Well, the thing is with like Oi, I mean, not being stereotypical, but generally, you know, the songs are 2 or 3 minutes long. It's in your face, bam, 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 innit? You know,
so life's ambition of what that last 3 minutes. We've been working on that for fucking 18 months.
Yeah. So where are you going to be releasing this album? We're going to put out
well, it's out on digital download now, but Simon and Subcultz Records have very kindly agreed to take the burden off me and release it. Primarily just because I'm fucking sick of people saying, have you got vinyl? Can I have a CD, mate? So Simon's going to release that and promote it for us, which is good of him. Obviously, be able to get it at the gigs and the reunion.
Yeah, so what we're basically going to do is I've done this for about 3 or 4 bands in the past. You know, I tend to, since I've been doing the Skinhead Reunion since 2011, I've always sort of strived to find new bands, young new bands that have got a bit of something different.
Well, it's not us,
or number 2, the B players are digging up all the old geriatrics.
Yeah, dug up
and all the bands we missed at the time, you know. So, you know, I mean, we've done the Extroverts a few years ago. We did the Egypts. We did Tear Up, their first album, new young band. Booking wise, we've booked loads of young new bands. Most of them burn out pretty quickly, to be honest, or they think that, you know, EMI are waiting around the corner and that we're just little minions and try and jump ship. You know, there's that. But, you know, the whole Skinhead, the real Skinhead DIY punk thing to me has always been DIY. Why? It's always been about doing it there and then and selling it to your mates for your mates type of thing, you know. So what we do is we'll put it on the Subcultz website. We'll do it as a limited edition release. We'll do it on CD, I think, to start with. So get your CDs, and then we'll see where we go from there. And we can maybe get some pre-orders for vinyl, which obviously costs a lot more money to make.
It takes 4.5 years to come back to the printers.
4.5 years, exactly. Well, the thing is, you've got to think about the oil price. The oil price has gone up, which is that's what vinyl's made from, isn't it? So
I've never thought about it.
Yeah, double the price.
Grew on vinyl trees or something.
So, you know, it's all this shit you've got to take into consideration. So I think, you know, the collector-wise, there's a lot of people that like vinyl. Personally, I like vinyl all day long. I much prefer vinyl, always get it if I can.
Well, that's because you're single, isn't it? Us married men, there's no room for stacks of records in the house, you won't have it.
But, you know, in your car, you stick a CD in, and all that download shit I can't be doing with that. So we're going to be doing a CD. We'll probably do a couple of 100 as a release. So get your orders in for them. Like I say, we'll have it on the site, on the subcultz.com. We'll have it at the Skinhead Reunion available, and it'll be the first. How many tracks can you put on there? 5?
6 tracks. 6 tracks.
That's a good.
It's taken us 40 years to write them, so they're good.
An album. They're putting an album out.
A mini album.
Yeah, mini album, exactly. So anyway,
that means to stick your price up.
Of course, yes. VIP, we'll put a sticker on it and say, we'll put announcements out. That's the latest thing. You got to do 20 announcements to announce announcements, I mean, there's some bands out there, I won't mention them, but there's one recently, they just signed up to a big label and they've hidden it quite nicely, and they're doing all big announcements as to the latest album. I don't know, it's going to be embarrassing really, but that's the way forward, DIY and getting it out there around the world, you know. But we're going to see Criminal Damage, their first appearance since 1982 at the Skinhead Reunion. I'm not sure which day, they'll either be Friday or Saturday, so get yourself down there and be part of Oi history.
A moment in history, that's us.
A moment in history.
No one's ever said that to me before.